Okay, so our last two examples. So those first four examples I had were kind of like parent functions, so to speak. Next week, we're going to talk about transforming them all across the coordinate system. But that doesn't mean that this week we still can't find some of these important features of exponential functions, even though we haven't really transformed them. So our domain. Remember, like I said in the previous video, the domain, as you move from left to right, these kind of keep going. We don't always see them going, but we can pretend that there are arrows here going to the left and to the right, which means our domain is negative infinity to infinity. And I apologize, this is really sad mouse writing. Our range is still from bottom to top, looking at the y values. So if I look down here, we have an arrow down at the bottom, which means that's going to be a negative infinity. And we keep going up and getting closer and closer to this horizontal line here. But officially, we never ever touch it. It's hard to show that in graphs, so it looks like it is touching it, but it's really not. So we can say our range is from negative infinity up to 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5. If it's hard to read the numbers, you can assume that they're all equal to 1, and that's what we're going to go with. So negative infinity to 5 is our range. Our y-intercept is still where it just crosses the y-axis, so it's right there. And I 1, 2, 3, so my y-intercept, oops, that's a parenthesis, by the way, is 0, 3. And my asymptote, again, it's this horizontal line. Remember, horizontal lines are always y equals lines because your y value is the same for every single x value. And it crosses the y-axis, which makes it a y equals. So our asymptote is y equals 5. Alrighty, so I'm going to kind of pause here for a little bit so you can kind of read that a little bit. I will go through and type those in for you, but I have to erase it so I can get to my next one. Okay, next example. Here we go. Same type of idea, but just a different function. So your domain, as we look from left to right, still have these arrows that we don't see on either side. Oops, there we go. Sad arrows that we don't see on either side. So domain is still negative infinity to infinity. Parentheses, negative infinity to infinity. Your range, as you look from the bottom to the top, the bottom, it looks like we're getting really, really close to -2, and then it keeps going forever and ever and ever. So we can say our range is from -2 to infinity. And remember, we've already talked about domain and range on all sorts of different functions. So this is kind of a little bit of review. Your y-intercept is where it crosses and touches the y-axis, which happens to be right there, which in this case is 0, 0. And the asymptote, it's that horizontal line that we kind of get really, really close to but never ever touch. It's where it's flattening out here a little bit. So it's a y equals line because horizontal lines are always y equals lines. And it's at y equals -2. So again, each line is just worth 1. Alrighty, so tomorrow's practice is going to look kind of like this, where you have graphs like this, and you're going to have to identify a bunch of these important parts. If you have any questions during it, please message me during the day. I can help you out in the middle of it. Usually I get back to people within 5 or 10 minutes of you guys messaging me. So just let me know if you need any help.